I'm gonna start us out. I got two quotes here
Okay.
related to our subject. The first one
Okay.
by a Dr. Rainer Knizia. When playing a game, the goal is to win, but it is the goal that is important, not the winning.
Well, the winning is very important, but so is the goal.
The other one, win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat, by Mr. Gorgeous George. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about cheating today. And I figured we can kind of unpeel this. Like it's like an onion. There are a lot of layers. I start out with cheat codes. Like I guess I asked because I know some people definitely familiar with them, but have any of you guys ever like parlayed? Like
No.
no?
Cheat code.
What'd you say?
Oh, I've definitely used kind of the back end to get around things. And I feel like, especially as a kid playing games too, that was like my way to actually experience most of the game. Especially if you got a really cruddy game as a kid, like that was like your way to be like, all right, I'm grabbing the Nintendo Power. At least it'll show me how to like, cheat through this level because that's what I want to do. Because it's just that kind of thing. Or I always think back to playing The Sims, like Rosebud, and then just typing in $1 to get $1,000 so you could build a better house right away. Sometimes you just want to do it.
Sometimes it's necessary, man. Sometimes it's necessary. Whatever it takes to win.
So there's cheat.
Isn't that what Sammy Sosa taught us?
Also, that baseball was very good for him.
Whatever it takes, man. That's what he said. Cork, whatever. Okay.
I mean, I think you can't really cheat yourself, right? Like if it's a game that you own and you're playing by yourself, do what you want with it. It's your software. But if you're playing online or competitively, that's kind of where it starts getting into that gray area, I think, because you're taking experience from other people.
Yeah.
Well, there's also, you brought up something like Nintendo Power. Like I would say cheat codes, not so much, but looking up, like trying to do a thing and then looking up at Nintendo Power or a walkthrough or asking your friends when you're in third grade how to get through Dodongo's Cavern, like that's not quite cheating in my mind.
Well, no, but there is that whole Dark Souls, like you cheated yourself if you didn't play through the game exactly the way I want you to, that kind of thing.
That's like some hang up that you and Dark Souls has though.
No, I'm very good at Dark Souls, Sarah. That's a you hang up.
I know.
So I was going to get to that. Like, there are different like phases of this. So like when you have your basic cheat codes, you have kind of we talk about the strategy guides. And I just want to say, like, the modern gamer, I just cannot emphasize how good you have it right now. Mm-hmm. Like, you can go and just decide, oh, I want to know how to do this thing. YouTube, type in the game. There are probably 18 videos on how to do it.
Oh yeah, your game facts too. It's like people write whole doctoral theses about like how to farm in Stardew Valley better. Like I'm like, if you applied just an ounce of this energy towards like grad school, we could have like professors everywhere.
I remember when I first got online on AOL and somebody like spread like the gospel, like just go to this website. All your answers will be there. Game FAQ, sure, all right. And then just everything I ever wanted to know about every game, like every code, every detailed step. Oh man.
There's some guy out there named Alex, and he is clearly the one who has written every FAQ for Final Fantasy. And I feel like he's played the games with me because of how many times I've been like, and where did you find it? Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Man alive.
And then there were the Prima strategy guides, which were, man, how much money I threw at them. How much money that I gave them to get through these RPGs. I love, though. I think my favorite was the one they put out for Final Fantasy IX, which, oh no, you do not have it. No, you do not have the curse book.
He has
you do not have the curse book.
So many guides.
No, he does not have. So
I might have it, man.
To explain to you.
It's in my basement.
To explain to the people who don't know.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh my god. Oh my god.
there it is.
The dreaded
God.
book.
No, the one for 9 had like these links to play online that are broken. They were broken when the book came out. They're broken now.
Okay, wait. I
That's-
love this one though. This isn't 9. This is Tactics Advance for the Game Boy Advance.
Mhm.
But I literally have held on to this game guide since it came out back in like 2003.
Oh my god. It is like so much money given to them. But I think there's part of that. Like you talk about like whether or not you're kind of cheating yourself. I think early on, like in the early gaming, it made a certain amount of sense because I think they were still working from the design of the arcades. The arcades were designed to take your money. That was the goal of this thing, was just to get to eat up quarters. So like after a certain point, you're just like, no, I don't want to fight King Hippo again to get to Super Macho Man. So then I can finally maybe get knocked out by Mike Tyson. And so I put in 00736359973, which, you know, I know folks who remember that better than they remember their social security number.
I will tell you, those Egg of the Dolphin codes to jump forward, man, those are the only codes I really used to skip gameplay that I'd already done, maybe.
And do you remember back in the day? I don't know if anybody has played the original, you know, NES back in. And they're talking back in the day, like late '80s, early '90s, or whatever. But even after, but Contra. How are you supposed to beat Contra without that code? That was my thing. Like, how are you supposed to beat it with? I think you start off with 2 lives.
Up, up, down, left, right, A, B, start. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you
The
supposed to
code.
beat that? Yeah, sometimes you have to. You know what I mean? There's just no other way.
Oh god, my like childhood code was the rare candy code from Pokemon, where you would like have the guy show you how to catch a Weedle, go on like the side of the island, and then you get like 99 level up items. You could just like buff your whole team to the sky, and like it would also cause a crash because that missing number Pokemon would show up and glitch your game out if you
Oh,
caught it.
Bazingo!
Bazingo! But
So-
was that cheating? Or was it just making the best use of what the game allowed you to do?
Oh, it was definitely not intended.
So I also think like there's also a tier of this that are like kind of broken strategy, like using Bo Jackson in Tecmo Super Bowl, using Odd Job and GoldenEye. One, I think a favorite of someone here, maybe having someone control Tails in Sonic 2.
Who
I
are you
mean-
calling out?
I'm saying like it works. It's
You do, Sarah.
effective.
Who are you
like,
calling out? I was Tails.
You
I
are.
was the younger child. I was Tails.
I've
there's
always thought
nothing
of
to-
you like Tails.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really say anything. Like, I will fully admit. You ask, how do you beat Contra without the Konami code? It's actually really easy if you have a Game Genie.
There was no way. There was no way. I'm telling you. And I'm telling you, listen, like I said, I think a while ago, I also said this. Anybody that can beat this game, I'll pay you like $100. If anybody can beat NES Friday the 13th, just let me know. It's the most impossible game of all time.
Again,
It's
all things are possible with the Game Genie.
yeah, there's got to be some kind of there's just no way.
Yeah, I did like I had it for the NES, I had it for the SNES, and it had the nice little you could turn it on and off. Like that light ever went off. Nah, that's cool. I just left that light on. And I think I didn't mind it until one day I think my brother made fun of me for it. Like he came by and he's just like, oh, there you go. Look at you. You got your Game Genie. That's the only way you begin. Like, I can actually just beat these games. This is just like expediting the process for me. And then I got really into like, all right, I got to go through these things, and then hitting my head against the wall a little bit. Yeah.
Game Shark.
Game Shark Pro Action Replay.
Oh yeah.
And Sarah, what is this about you being Tails? Can you elaborate a little bit?
I want to hear.
So-
I want to hear details.
Yeah, what's going on? Are you
So-
still Tails or what?
My friends actually call me Miles per Hour. Thank you very much. My full name.
Okay.
No, I was just always Tails, you know, and I was the younger cousin for probably 4 or 5 years, and as the youngest, we get the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dimitri is completely unfamiliar with this concept.
I am familiar with it too.
I mean,
I am the
which end
youngest,
are you
so I
familiar with,
kind of get
Gus?
What's up?
What? Underrated character, Miles per Hour.
Underrated character?
Yeah, but you can't cheat with that. There's like, I will give you that he's kind of a cheat character if you have somebody play him. Like, you can get up to the places you would not normally get as Sonic.
Mhm.
It's much easier. But like, that's not a cheat, I would argue. Counter arguments? Are there
No, of
other
course
games
not.
where
There's checks and balances. You have to play with Sarah in order to use that. So it's like, you know.
sir, you take that back?
No, you're my favorite, of course.
So I think the other thing, which you kind of brought up earlier, talking about the Souls genre games, and I think there's a portion of this that is not cheating, but making games more accessible to people. But there's a pushback on it, you know, which gets kind of lumped in with this, and I'm fascinated by that kind of push-pull. I mostly associate with Souls, but I think it's in other things as well. The Last of Us 2 did a lot so people could get through that slog of a game. And I don't know, I'm curious, like, how do people feel about, like, do people have any issues with that here? With sort of excessive,
So, accessibility, no, I don't have issues with accessibility. But if you take a game and you start playing that game on, let's say, hard mode, and then you come up to a boss and you can just switch back to easy for the boss, at some point, yes, a game is, like, the story is part of the game. Yes, 100%. And should there be the option of allowing to switch for accessibility to continue the story if, like, you reach a point and it is truly a roadblock?
See,
I like it for other people.
I disagree a little bit. Because here's the thing, I'm already working 40 hours a week. You charged me $69 for this piece of software. If I just want to skip through it, I'm skipping through it. I don't care if it turns the boss into wet cardboard, like whatever. I already paid you money for it. I'm going to do what I want.
I do what I want.
Exactly.
Platinumed like 6 games.
Oh no, those are usually locked behind difficulty levels. I'm not saying I do. No, I mean, sometimes I do. Like, I replayed the Atelier game for Riza because the second one comes out next week. Shout out to Atelier. But I played it on easy mode this time because I already beat it regularly the first time. I'm like, I just want to play through it again one more time. I don't need to sit there and grind because I already know what happens.
what do you
And the
think?
YouTube channel, Atelier.
What do you think, Michelle?
What do I think about
you-
cheating?
About
accessibility.
accessibility versus the idea of it being cheating or even taking away from the game.
Well, when I was like 10, I played Doom, the original Doom, and I used the cheat code so I wouldn't die, just so I could play the game.
iddqd.
Yes, I used that every time. And I did, like, as I played it, and then I tried it, and I did get a little better where I didn't play it, but I played it a lot. So otherwise I would have, like, died in 5 minutes
Yeah,
at 10 years old.
that's another one that I used to do.
Yeah.
There was no way I couldn't get past, I think, like level 3. I
Yeah,
couldn't do it.
that's the way to do it.
Couldn't do it.
Now, what is everybody's opinions on kind of older generation game players walking younger through? And I as an example, there's a very specific one. We were given our NES by my aunt, who my dad gave her, his little sister, the NES, and she sat us all down. There were only about 6 of us, and taught us how to play the Legend of Zelda on the NES. because you can't get through that without a walk guide as a 6-year-old. Would that be considered cheating?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, people have to learn somehow, somewhere. Like you can't like.
I mean, I wouldn't consider that cheating. I mean, that would be almost like considering strategy guides cheating. I mean, I wouldn't consider that cheating at all.
Sarah, that was cheating. Okay? Very plain, just straightforward. It was cheating.
Thank you. That's the answer that I wanted.
Yeah, I think for cheating,
not cheating.
there has to be a level of like competition, right? It's like, you play an online shooter and somebody's using an aim assist bot, or like, something like that, where there's this sort of like somebody's giving a competitive edge over somebody else that shouldn't be there. And you see it a lot now too, because everything's online all the time, and you hear about it a lot more too. The one I always think of is, I really like Pokemon. I still have been playing the most recent games. And on their home system, where you can basically like put yours up for like auction and be like, I want this one. If you've got that one and you want mine, we'll swap. And that way you can trade without having to be present all the time. It's kind of like a system they use. The problem is now it's overrun with illegally hacked Pokemon. And Pokemon that have like stats that are completely through the roof. People are losing their accounts because they're getting banned from online play because they don't know any better, because they'll get a hacked Pokemon and it's not clear it's hacked. That's the kind of cheating where I'm just like, you've really ruined it for a lot of people here.
I see I heard initially, like, there were people when, what was it? Was it Sword and Shield or Sun and Moon? Like, they were telling people, because it came out around the holidays. They were saying, hey, send the good Pokemon in the Wonder Trades so someone has a nice Christmas day. I think that was a little too nice. Like, they sent a little too good.
Well, it's the other thing they're doing too is if you see a Pokemon, its name is a website, and the most explicit one is always www.machamps.com. If you see that, just don't touch it. That's for sure a hacked Pokemon, because they're trying to drive website traffic to that website for whatever reason by offering like legendary Pokemon for like a Pidgey. And so then you get there and you're like, no, I know better.
I think the other thing to consider is that, like, fundamentally, these games are meant to be beaten, right? Like, they're meant to be, like, there's not a game that's put out there that's meant for you not to beat, because if you couldn't beat it, like, I mean, they could make that game. I think no one would care about it.
They did. Isn't it called E.T. Extraterrestrial?
I remember kind of beating that game. Like, it was fine. Like, that game was fine. That game gets, like, it did everything. I was the right age demographic. It had the kind of chiptune music. Do, 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 do. That's all I really wanted from the game. Sometimes the FBI guy would catch me. Sometimes he wouldn't. Like, I don't think they needed to produce as many of those games as they did. That was probably a mistake. But
Wait, they made a full series of ET games?
oh, no. They made one. They made one ET game. And that was enough. And they made a lot of these games. They made more games than there were systems. And the reason that we are not talking about the greatness of Atari right now, the reason I didn't give a 3-minute soliloquy on Pac-Man instead of like is because of E.T. Like, E.T. was the final nail in that generation of gaming.
Direct correlation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry though, I interrupted you.
No. But yeah, I think the point is the game's supposed to be beaten, right? Like, it's not a thing made to not beat. So, like, I can't get really up in arms on people doing what they need to do to get to see the stuff, like I said, that they paid for. Like, they paid for this thing. Why not go ahead and do it? Like, I think that just the culture, like, of the online gaming coupled with, like, the achievements. Like, I think people put a lot of stock in achievements that these games provide, and I think that partially drives kind of the disdain for, oh, you didn't actually earn this. Okay, sure. I didn't earn it, but I bought it. I promise you. What do you think?
I would agree. I mean, it's definitely a bragging rights kind of thing, and it's like, it's a video game. At the end of the day, it's just an entertainment thing. It's like, you didn't really do anything.
Yes, you did this, but you also were essentially just sitting on your sofa for 8 hours. So
Right?
who really won?
Yeah.
Not my back. My back did not win in that one. Had to do some calisthenics.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, it's an interesting kind of like philosophy, right? It's like, do you play to win? Do you play to have fun? Is there a correlation
play to
there? Isn't
win.
there?
And have fun.
You could do both. I'm sure there's like that's. I mean, there's got to be some kind of crossover, right? Because it
Yeah.
feels good to win, but it's like only if you kind of earn it. Because sometimes it feels very hollow, I guess. Maybe so. Sometimes that's, I guess, the definition of cheating yourself, right?
You should.
What do you think, Dimitri?
I don't know. As long as you're really enjoying the game, like I said, I don't think it. If you're doing it in multiplayer or in like competitive setting, I don't think it's like. I just don't think it's appropriate. But I don't know. It really, like, do you guys? I don't know how you guys feel, but do you guys feel rewarded, like cheating? You know what I'm saying? Like when I do
No,
it,
not really.
it kind of it kind of takes the fun out of it. So that's where I'm at. But then again, I think we've all done it. So
For me, I think it depends on the game. If I'm getting if I'm set out to I'm going to beat this game, I'm going to do it. I try my best to not use any guides. But if I'm just completely stuck, I can't do anything but look at a guide, whatever. So be it. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I do it. Like the last one, what was it one recently? Luigi's Mansion 3. I got stuck at a couple parts. I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to go online, FAQs, and I still beat it and felt great. All right, I feel great.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Sometimes it's just in the act of doing it too, or like I'm replaying Dragon Quest XI right now on the PS4, like the one that they re-released. I already beat it one time, so this time I'm just kind of having fun with it. And what I'm doing is I'm farming all the seeds that boost your stats, even though I'm really early in the game. So now my characters are like 999 in all their stat categories, and I'm walking through it. But I'm like, it was more fun for me to make like them all like, oh, they're the perfect character now, as opposed to like the challenge of beating the final boss again. I'm like, so that's actually been more fun. And I think some people would think I'm crazy though, because it's like, wait, you wasted like 30 hours just sitting around like hunting for little seeds to feed your characters. And I'm like, yeah, I did. I don't know.
I think the last time I had to really think about it was when I was playing Breath of the Wild, and I'd already beaten the game, and I just wanted to get all of the shrines. Like I was like, that is the thing I want. I want every single one of these shrines, and I had found all but 3 of them. Like there are 3 shrines I just did not find, and like my partner was there, and she knew like, all right, I can just look these up. I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep looking. And so I continued to wander around on my giant horse. Like and finally I remember I was right outside the Gerudo village. And I'm just like, listen, I have looked, I've crisscrossed this map, I have gotten into accidental Lino fights. Fine, tell me where these last like 3 shrines are. She's like, all right, you sure? Like, yeah. Like, all right, walk 10 steps that way. I'm like, what are you talking about? I had managed to not walk to that side of the village at all. And there's one like right outside the village. It's right there. And I was just like, oh yeah, that's okay.
Okay, but for like collectibles like that, where there are, in the case of the shrines, hundreds of them, and the world map is just incomprehensibly large. Is that cheating if you're doing it for a collectible and you're so close?
I mean, I didn't do it like the rest of them. I'll admit, I feel better about the rest of them than I do those last 3. Those last 3 are just like, yeah, I got them. But the rest are like, yeah.
I get that though. Like sometimes a strategy guide or like kind of even just like a little bit of a roadmap can make a game that's good a lot better if it sort of relieves the stress that you're under of like, I just want to do X or I just want to get through this. Like what I always think of is Atelier Ferris, which is a game where you have a year in game to get like a bunch of objectives done. Otherwise you lose and you have to start the whole game over. And for me, that was really stressful because I hate being on a time clock about anything. Like I like to be like a kind of like, I mean, I'm like a candy tush person in real life too. It's like I don't want to do anything that's on the time clock. But using a guide for that game made it like one of my favorite games ever because I was like, oh great, now I know what I need to do on kind of a schedule that somebody's cluing me into that I wouldn't have figured out on my own. So it's like that kind of thing helps.
That brings up a point. Like, so you talk about time clocks. Question, poll. How many of us have played Majora's Mask?
Not me.
Okay, Dimitri, you need to put yourself through that and play the Majora's Mask. Go on, you too. Oh, Michelle, you as well. But like, is that game, I found it enjoyable, but I had to use a guide. That was a game where I got like probably 50% through it, and then I had to use a guide.
Well, and I had to use the in-game like kind of a cheat of slowing down time by playing the song like slowly, like twice as slow or whatever. And that was the only way I could do some of the side stuff as a kid was like I needed that extra like time to figure out where the heck I was going.
Again, a Zelda game causing issues.
So I'm curious about, and I think we talked about this a while ago, the PS5 has that option where like, at least for the achievements, you can go ahead and pull up right away. All right, if this is the thing you want, this is how you do it. You know, which I guess it differs from game to game, like publishers can have it, don't have it. But I think that's a nice kind of common ground to have. Like, it's not going to give you the entire game, but like if you really are just, for whatever reason, you want that platinum trophy and you're one thing away and you cannot figure out what this thing is. All right, here you go. This is the thing you got to do. And I remember reading like when they announced, when people kind of saw the breadth of that, they were worried about this being the end of the kind of Assassin's Creed, Marvel Spider-Man open world game. If you can just like hit a button and discover it. And
it wasn't.
I think you're right. It won't be. But more importantly, like, some of these worlds are just so like, I love a good open world game, but some of them at a certain point just feel empty and you're just like, you're looking for needles in giant haystacks of stuff. So please just.
Funny you bring up open worlds and empty feeling games almost. And I hate to be the cause of this segue, but that's kind of why I actually enjoyed the Breath of the Wild's musical soundtrack so much. Because it was such, as beautiful as it was, such an empty game, that soundtrack was my only companion.
I have a feeling you're going to be saying that a lot in your life. I couldn't help myself.
Michelle just blinked out because of that burn. She felt the repercussion so harsh that her screen went blank.
Well, no, I know what you're saying, but I also agree with what Will's saying, though, too, about, like, the trophy thing, because I'm one of those people where if I get a new game and it's going to be a long one, like we're talking like a 60, 70 RPG kind of sitch, I will actually go online and see if any of the trophies are missable, like if I accidentally miss it and I can't go back and get it because I'd have to replay through the whole game again just to do that. I've gotten to that point where I'm just like, spoil the trophies for me. I'd rather save time on the back end just because I don't have as much time as I used to.
Is that how you got the quarter in Last of Us 2 that was like behind a poster on a wall?
No, I used the accessibility options. I turned it into colorblind mode and also like low sight mode for people who have disabilities. I don't have them, but after I'd clear out an area, I'd turn that on and walk back through and it would highlight all the items you can pick up. Because I couldn't find anything in that game. It was like too much was going on visually. So
it has been months and I'm still thinking about that quarter.
I was like, oh, shiny thing in the wall, great.
I definitely
did. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say. I also think you're hitting upon something like, and maybe there's a disconnect. There'll be a disconnect among us. Like time is a factor. Like,
Mm.
Yeah, it is.
like when I was a younger gamer, I had all the time, but none of the games. Now I've got the games I want, and just like I only have finite amount. Finite amount.
Yeah.
The commute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear that. I feel like I buy maybe 1 or 2 games a month. Like there's usually one game I'm really looking forward to every month, kind of. And then like, yeah, maybe I'll buy another one if I get like whatever. But it's like I don't finish things as much anymore. It's like I feel like stuff's coming out every month. Every console has something coming out that's like trying to get my attention. I feel like Nintendo really does that too. It's like, oh, next month is Bowser's Fury with that Mario update. And then the month after that's the new Monster Hunter. And the month after that's the new Pokemon Snap. And you're like, where do I get the time for any of this?
Yeah. Gus, you clearly have a time turner. How do you actually do any of this?
I do my best. Honestly, at night, that's why the Switch saved my life. Well, no, actually, I take it back. Wii U saved my life. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm gonna admit it. That's it. I'm a big fan of the Wii U. Back in the day, when everybody would hog the TV or they were busy doing something, I could have the controller in front of me and play a game. Everybody can do their thing. And I did the same thing with the Switch. So I sleep late sometimes. I mean, it depends, but it's really saved my life.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
What about you, Connor?
You
How do you fit in your gaming?
I just fit in whatever I have free time. And just if I'm not busy, if I'm not busy walking dogs, I'm either watching TV or fitting some game time. Yeah, just random.
Kill you with those walking dogs. They always got to be doing something.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
sometimes
Gotta
feel like
keep
I have
'em
to like
busy.
make time for video games too. It's like I'm like,
Yeah.
or I feel guilty. Like it's like, oh, I spent money on this new title. I really should be playing it because I feel like I didn't get my money's worth out of it in a weird way, which is weird. It's like, no, you bought a weird luxury item. Don't have to feel bad for not using it right now.
Fair point.
What about you, Alan? How do you fit in your gaming? How do you make it like?
It's tough out here. I would say that most of my gaming's kind of converting slowly into multiplayer because that's the easiest way to play for me, where I can get into the game, learn a little bit without taking up too much of my time. Games such as Minecraft is a sinkhole in terms of time. The Last of Us is a sinkhole because like you could explore that place for a bit. For the most part, I try to stick to multiplayer games, or if I can, I'll prioritize a multiplayer or a single player game for that 1 month. It's just basically one game at a time per month. I need to dedicate myself. Realistically, I might fit in a few here and there, but I just try to finish 1 month.
Well, because then you're socializing at the same time as you're playing the game, so it's two birds, one stone. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a multitasking dream haven right there.
Yes, it is.
Especially now in the time of COVID.
What about you,
You.
Michelle?
Me? Oh, mostly the weekends, I guess, when people are available. I play multiplayer games mostly, so sometimes I stay up really late.
What about
Also
you?
hitting,
What'd you say?
saying also hitting that two birds, one stone.
Dimitri?
I stay up pretty late. That's my thing. That's where most of my stuff gets done at nighttime. I sleep really late, so that's my issue. I know, but no, I also have the same thing Buzz has going on. Like you buy a game, and a lot of times you just don't have the time to play it, and you feel guilty almost. Like I know how you feel about Assassin's Creed, but I bought Valhalla. I still haven't, I barely touched it, and the game looks amazing, I heard some weird things about it, but like I want to give it a try. I just haven't had the time.
See, I just want to comment, and I would feel way worse if I bought something like Assassin's Creed because I know for sure there's going to be another one coming out next year, and then I know for sure the one that I own is probably going to be half price already.
Exactly. Yeah. Sucks.
So I have to make a confession. I got someone pointed me towards a YouTube video series last week. It's I guess there are like 6 seasons of it. They talk about various artifacts in the British Museum. And it's cool and it's quirky. And the latest episode had an item, like I brought it up at random in like one of the like Slack group I'm in. And someone's like, oh yeah, that thing. I just saw that in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I was like, no, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I'm hearing the call again. Like there's this meme about sea shanties is really starting to get to me because like 4 was my jam and I was singing sea shanties before. Like I can say that now. Like I was literally doing this thing before people were doing it and like I may be coming back.
There will.
I may be
Coming back?
coming back. But I just don't know where to start. Do I go back to like, do I pick up Valhalla and just start there? Do I go back and like, I'm never going back to Unity. I'm done with that game. But do I pick up what came up, I think Syndicate after that and go Syndicate, Origins, Odyssey? Like, I just don't know.
They lost their way with Assassin's Creed. I feel like after, I don't know, like after the Ezio collection, I feel like it got a little shaky.
For me, Black Flag murder it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I hated it so much. Normally I would be down for like sea games, but like I don't know, I was not in one with like shooting in the boats or just being a pirate in general. I missed the Renaissance. Like that's what I missed, and then all I got was just sea and boats.
No, that's I feel like that's when it really changed, and then it changed a lot more. But I think it really changed with that one. And also, I felt like you were like a tank in that one. So, like I don't know.
I enjoyed that part.
Yeah, you can like counter everything. Just I don't know. It was awesome.
Counter. Nah, I can hit this square button all day, guys. Don't you worry.
I had a Black Flag actually. I did.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a good, but I think they lost their way. Like even looking now, like the maps are just so big. You see a lot of the same things over and over again. You get lost within the story. So I don't know.
You say they lost their way, but at least they didn't lose it as epically as the movie did.
I didn't watch the movie. Yeah, I heard it was a flop. Well, you should give it a try.
So Christopher, how do you fit in your gaming?
Oh, so hi, yeah, I've been sitting here not talking because I couldn't figure out how to not show up as Robin.
Yeah, I did.
You have a weird voice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just must be getting sick. Truly. I've been trying to balance what little is actually going on in my life, namely school, and what little I can actually get done of out of school things. It's so I guess like lately it's just been playing a lot of like shorter multiplayer things. So maybe do like a round of something like Titanfall, a run of Hades, a heist in Payday, and then go back to doing something else because I just don't really have a lot of time anymore.
So you'd say that like maybe like the current situation is it's giving you time but eating up your bandwidth, or is it taking both your bandwidth and your time?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Definitely both.
Oh man. I guess I'll throw it out to you guys because a couple of you have said now that like you're doing a lot of like multiplayer stuff, like that's something. Is that something like you've always done? Like I don't know. Like I come at it from a weird place. Like I don't really like I can do some stuff, but for the most part, I don't really associate like my video game habit with being social.
It's weird, right? Like sometimes there's multiplayer games where I like I'm not really being social and I'm not even really playing a game. I'm just killing time. Like I'll have, I'll make like a cocktail and play Overwatch and just like kind of goof around because it feels like it's kind of a throwaway. Like it doesn't matter if I don't do well or not. I'm not even really playing a game. I'm just goofing around. And there's other stuff where like if I'm playing with somebody I know, then I'm kind of feel like I'm actually playing a game, and that's when it becomes like a real thing. If it's with strangers though, it's like it's probably a crapshoot anyway. Most strangers are kind of punks online. But like when I play with Sarah, like when we used to play Final Fantasy Online, like I felt like I was very engaged because I was playing with you. You know what I mean? Or like there's other stuff we played together too, where like multiplayer stuff we wouldn't normally have gotten into if it weren't for the two of us.
Yeah, whenever we were on the same teams in Splatoon, or I mean, even not on the same teams. One of my other friends is playing more Final Fantasy Online though, and posting pictures of her character, and it's a real hook. It's a real draw.
I know. I lost my apartment in the game because I haven't logged in so long.
So I guess, how many of you would say that you're playing games you may not necessarily normally play, or things you're not normally interested in, for that multiplayer aspect, just because it's multiplayer, just because it's your friends playing? Like, are there any games that you just kind of hate playing?
Among Us.
Yeah, that Among Us got kind of old. Got gonna real.
Oh man.
I will admit I have still never played Among Us, despite other people playing it.
You're not really missing out.
You're not missing out. If anything, you're avoiding a potential toxic conversation. Like in the game, at first, the novelty wears off quickly because like, ooh, you got away with it. But then like, if you play it and then you're actually trying to be competitive with it, which it sounds weird being competitive to be the best liar or manipulator. At that point, I was just like, I'm gonna step away. I did not realize you could talk to people that way. I did not realize that you could talk to me that way. I'm gonna walk away.
I know it gets a little
also
personal.
generally, if you just get too good at lying,
yeah. And then I'm double thinking. You're like, oh, you've been getting away with talking like that? Oh man, oh man. I must have felt like a fool this whole entire time.
I will say, like, my partner has been perfectly clear. And I mean, Among Us is just the current of these, but going back to playing in-person games like Werewolf, The Resistance.
Werewolf.
They have no interest at all. And the way they put it, they have no interest at all in seeing how well I can lie to them or how well they can lie to me. Like none. Don't even want to know it. Don't think it's healthy for a relationship long term. She told me, like, if I want to play that game on my own, they'll watch. And like they could maybe one day like play. They wouldn't mind playing the game if I were like sitting off the side and not playing myself. But they have no interest in us being in the same game. Like none.
How's that? Was it a spider room?
Oh no! So that was a tabletop game where I got murdered, and did not like that either. Did not like I as it was. We were playing a tabletop RPG, Dread. I failed. Like it's a Jenga tower. I'm not great at Jenga. I pulled the brick out. Thing fell. When that happens, you die. I had a very noble death, and then afterwards, I was told in the car ride home. By the way, we're never doing that again. Never. Like I cannot. Like I was near tears at the thought of you being dead, and I was so. But no death, no lying. That's where we're at.
It's a good boundaries to set.
I mean, it's the opposite of my house. It's all death and all lies all the time. But we have fun. No, my hate multiplayer game was Monster Hunter on the PS4 when World came out. A friend of mine got me into it. They stopped playing it, but then I kept playing without them. Because it was one of those like situations where I'm like, what do you mean you're not playing anymore? I need to complete my set. And they're like, sorry. And then I started playing with strangers, and it's not as bad because there's no real communication system in the game if you don't know the person. So, yeah, I mean, it's not as bad.
I mean, the most recent game that I got into is one of my friends on Xbox that was on Xbox was Dead by Daylight.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and now I'm just enjoying it with complete strangers and having a ball.
Is that the one where you play like the horror movie villains?
It's asymmetrical multiplayer. One person's like the monster, and there's 4 people. And you got to start generators to get the exit to open, and the guy's kind of hunting you the whole time.
Yep.
It kind of reminds me of Left 4 Dead a little bit. I used to love Left 4 Dead. That was a great multiplayer game.
They're still adding stuff to it.
Seriously?
Yeah, I think they
They
added
did
some
a new
more.
map for 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, that was like
It's
the last one
actually
for
pretty
Left 4
fun
Dead
map.
2.
You will get your money's worth with Left 4 Dead still today.
Speaking of online games that people hate played and may still be playing, is anybody playing No Man's Sky?
Oh, that's an interesting. See, I want to play it honestly.
Now?
Well, I never was stopped wanting to play it. Or at least wanting, not actually played it. I played the game, but like I haven't been. Confusing myself now. I've been wanting to play the game, but I haven't played it yet. I kept putting it off because most of my friends keep telling me like, "Oh, No Man's Sky, blah 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 blah." But like, it still seems like a fun game, to be honest. I mean, the game is out there. You're out there exploring worlds. It's generating new things. You know, I come from a Minecraft background, so I just love being like, this is totally brand new and fresh. Like every time, like this is a perfect $60 game. Well, I want to say $60, but like, in this case, Minecraft is a perfect $30 game where you can just buy it, and then every time you press new game or new world, it's something different, more or less of the same, but different.
So, I was a person who remembers like seeing like early news stories about No Man's Sky. I remember being really excited when they had the game show awards like trailer after the flood, when it was like, oh man, this game doesn't look like it's going to get made, and then it became a Sony exclusive. I may have been a person who went and bought the collector's edition of this game, who may have taken a day off work, who said, all right, I am totally going to do this thing, and had my partner take the day off because they wanted to see what this would be like. So we were like, man, I got this game. It's going to be great. I played it for about 4 hours. And then I realized, oh, wait, like, I thought the fun would come to me. I got to make the fun? All right. Here, why don't you try to play it? And she played it, and she got into it. But there wasn't a lot of content back there when it came out. So after about a week or so, she's like, if you're not going to play it, I'll pick it back up again. Don't worry about it. I got it. It's coming. That never happened. And now it's become awkward because we have within one of our gaming groups, like about 3 months ago, like a guy's like, hey, have you guys heard about No Man's Sky? Like, oh man, that game's pretty good. And one dude managed to convince another dude to buy it, and they were playing together, and they were hoping more of us would come and play together. And I was just like,
You do.
Burned.
yeah, I'm sorry. If they were to watch this, I'm sorry, Joe. I can't do it.
So it's put away completely for good.
So to be fair, I, as part of our potential for moving, I had to select. Like I was told, listen, 99% of this stuff has to go into storage. You can pick whatever games you want that you think you're gonna play over the next, like, hopefully month and a half, and everything else, don't even worry about it. You'll play it when we get back to it. No Man's Sky went into a box. Like, it was not a hard choice. That was just like, all right, this will fit at the bottom. It's gonna have a lot of stuff on top of it. It'll be good.
I was going to say, was it the first?
No, like I had some like random DS games, and so I have a PSP copy of Persona, the first one.
Oh wow.
Mind you, I don't own a PSP. Like, it just kind of sits in my gaming cabinet. So those went in first, but then eventually No Man's Sky. Yeah, I just threw it in there. One day I'll update it, maybe. Like
I guess I can add another one to that. Destiny.
Mm.
I may have also purchased that day one.
Dimitri, you're a big fan of Destiny, right?
Come on, guys. Destiny 1 wasn't as bad as people say it is.
Okay.
I love like multiplayer games and co-op games that like you can have fun with your friends, and that's just what Destiny was. But Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 are like the same game. They lack content, so I get it. I don't know.
There is like a weird
like I hate it, but I like it.
like Destiny reminds me of like a lot of like these kind of multiplayer big, like they call them like what, like the roadmap style content games. Like remember Anthem? Everyone was talking about Anthem. It's gonna be the next Destiny. It's got jetpacks so you can fly around. That game like didn't even get off the ground, and it's dead in the water. And if you bought it, you can't even play it. There's no single player.
Yeah. No.
Listen,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the sad part about Anthem is I hear it controls really well. Like I hear like it really feels good to use that mech, and like the game feel is there. It just the content was not.
Wait,
Right.
is it Anthem like a mech kind of
Yeah.
game?
You're like Iron Man, kind of, is how I would describe it. Like you get in like kind of a human-looking suit and you can fly.
Is it? And this is by EA, right?
Yeah.
EA Bioware.
Didn't they drop Titanfall? That's kind of like not the same but close.
Titanfall was similar, and Titanfall 2 was really good because it had like a full single-player campaign. But yeah, it was the idea where it's like, in that one you were like a little human dude who had like kind of like some like running man capabilities, but your friend was Optimus Prime, and sometimes you went inside Optimus Prime and controlled him.
Okay, I just googled Anthem. It's one of those titles that I hear here and there, but like if you Google Anthem on Google, I'm just like surprised. Like you see 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as the stars, but like if you look at the bottom where it says 1, it's just like filled.
Yeah. That game had a lot of promise. It was hyped up like Destiny, and then it just flopped. Like literally same issues, no content. The game felt great though, the mechanics.
So it's interesting. I was reading a piece, and I guess maybe the last thing we'll talk about, like on the subject of games like this, like where we say like it failed, like we talked about Anthem failing, but they argue that it's harder now for games like that to fail. Like look at a No Man's Sky, like that was considered a failure at the beginning. They kept working on it. Now, like it has a strong community. Fallout 76 was considered like hot garbage. Like who wants this sort of thing from a Fallout game? But they just kept at it. They kept at it, and now it's built up its little community. It's not like it is not the next great like MMO game, but like it did it. Like companies seem more willing. Like Final Fantasy 14, like it came around
With patches, that's the thing. Like if patches weren't available, and I guess the argument it is patches all are available, so it's a moot point. But out of the box, those were not good games.
Well, look at whatchamacallit. I want to call it Cyberpunk. I was trying to call it Neuromancer for a minute there. But Cyberpunk's like terrible right now. After the first 6 hours, like I played it the day before it came out. The first 6 hours were pretty good. Like I didn't encounter any bugs on my PS5. I was like, yeah, this is the hype. It's real. And then you get into the open world bit and you're like, take it back, take it back, take it back. I don't want this. Get rid of it. I haven't picked it up since either. I'm only 7 hours in and I stopped playing because it was so bug ridden. And it's like, but I wonder if it's gonna be like a Witcher 3 where like in a year and a half there'll be so many patches. I'll be like, oh, this is actually a lot of fun now that it works. But they needed a year and a half to get there and they didn't want to wait.
So there was an article that came out last week by Jason Schreier where he talked to some people and he talked about the development. And there's a lot of like crazy things. You should check it out. But I think the biggest thing I took from his article is like, note to developers, just give Epic their money. Just give it to them and call it a day. Like, and or if you decide you're going to make your whole new gaming engine from scratch, that's cool. Then probably give yourself some extra time. But don't do both of these things. Don't not give them money and think you're going to develop, because the first step is developing the engine, not developing the engine while you're trying to make the game. Because for both this game and I think in Schreier's previous book when they were talking about, I can't remember if it was Inquisition or I think it was Inquisition, where they were trying to use the Frostbite engine for that. And it was just like they didn't know how to use this engine, and they were still kind of working on it. And it was like trying to drive a train while putting out the tracks.
Well, that's why Catherine got made, that game where you scale the tower in your sleep, and it has like the kind of the woman who's sort of hunting you, and then you have your girlfriend, and you're kind of juggling them. Is because the team behind Persona 5 didn't want to make Persona 5 using the new engine without testing it out first. So they made Catherine as the test game, and people loved it. And then they were able to make Persona 5 that much better because it was the same engine.
Wait, so Catherine was not actually a game, became a game?
Catherine, they weren't sure if they were going to release it or not. So they originally, they weren't sure if Studio Trigger, I think, was the one that did it, was just going to do kind of like an animated short with it, and maybe they would do like a little mini game. It went into full development using that engine, though, and they really thought they had a game there. And they did. It's a great game. But it's a lot shorter and smaller and condensed than like a Persona 5, because you really only are playing as Vincent either in the tower or in that little bar segment. But those interactions with the characters and sort of the dialogue boxing and all that stuff was to test out the engine for Persona 5, and then they really scaled it up for P5.
And that's definitely go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, and I think that's like the really smart way to do it is like, yeah, get your feet wet with this like tool first, and then do something ambitious.
And I mean, I understand not wanting to like, you can cut costs in a certain way because, hey, I don't have to send all this money to Epic. I don't have to send all this for, what was it, Unreal, Bink. I'm trying to think of the other, like, just things that games are using. I get you want to do that stuff in-house, but, like, really you should, at best, put out some sort of, like, teaser demo with it first. Or just
have the teaser demo be actually the gameplay rather than just a video that then the developers are trying to match for the rest of the time.
Which also happened with Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
My friend finally got his refund on PS4.
Oh, wait, he put that on a PS4?
I asked him what was his thought process. And to his defense, I agree with him. He said, I can't get a PS5. I can't get a 3000 series card, and most people are already buying AMD cards already. Everything is gone. So he was just like, "Well, this is the last PS4 game, I guess," and I feel so sorry for him. So, to his defense, for its time, I can get it. No 3000 series cards, nothing, no PS5s. Unless you want to pay scalper prices, but all of us, we're not about that life.
Yeah, we're not about that life.
Not about that. Not about that.
Well.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I know the library's closing.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah,
Good times. Good talk, everyone. Leave some comments below if you've watched up to this point.
Yes.
Also, we should let them able to leave comments because last time we actually turned comments off. And I feel that was cruel. Like we talked about, man, we want to hear what you guys are thinking.
There was a lot of KFC talk that was getting a little risque. Maybe it was better we turned the comments off.
God, I was trying to forget the KFC.
That's cowardly.
We bring that next time. We got to talk about that next time.
Everyone's homework is go play the KFC game.
Yeah.
You know what? That's actually, why not? That's a game we can all play. Okay, let's do it. I want to see what people think.
Play Hades instead. Cheers, everyone.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Good.
Yeah.
See ya.
Next time.
Bye.